and welcome to the fourth round of the European Rallycross Championship 2019, and we're coming to you live for qualifying one from Estering in Germany. It's a traditional rallycross track and it's one of the oldest in the world, indeed the second oldest behind Liddon Hill. So the drivers, I'm sure the racing this weekend will match up to the heritage on show here in Germany. Well, weather-wise, we've had a bit of everything so far today. We woke up, it was wet, it dried out a bit, the heavens opened once again, but we are beginning to see now, just here, pre-grid with turn one behind me, a drying line out there on the track as well. So conditions will be tricky on an already technical circuit. Well, this is the fourth round. Let's take a look at where we've been and where we're yet to go in our Euro Super 1600 and the Supercar rally car racing as well. Let's have a look. So, Silverstone then was first up. We then headed to Hell in Norway, Holius in Sweden. We're here in Estering now. And indeed, we've got France and Latvia to come to decide the series. Delighted now to be joined by Dan Rook, our commentator for the Rallycross. Well, it's going to be a brilliant weekend of racing here. This is a traditional Rallycross track and one I think the drivers are itching to get out on.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some guys out there having a lot of fun this morning. Yourself and myself were on the inside of turn one, weren't we, watching them absolutely send it. Yeah. And spoken to a few people as well, and they're saying they're really enjoying being here.
I mean, turn one, let's talk about it a second. Uphill, gravel, hairpin, and you've got 5-6 cars throwing themselves at that. Does it get any harder? I
mean, it is a pretty difficult one, and we've seen in the past that grid positions here don't necessarily matter so much because there's so much carnage on the way into turn one. It's all about who can get the exit at the corner rather than the entry. So Robin Larsson, of course, is leading the way in the Euro Supercars and Adar Nureyev in the Super 1600s. Are those two beatable? Can anyone challenge them, especially Larsson, who is unbeaten, a maximum 90 points scored so far? Yeah, I mean, we've seen people take the challenge to Larsson, but of course he seems to be on top form at the moment. But Brinton was very close to him in Silverstone, and he's had a few people challenge him here and there. I think he is beatable, but when he's on form, he is a different man. And this is, of course, the first standalone round of the European Rallycross Championship since 2013, so it's a big moment for these guys to shine, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. So they're not being overshadowed by the World Championship. You know, the guys out there in the European are going to be the ones that are the fastest over the whole weekend. So it's their time to really put it to everybody else. Well, you can probably hear behind us, we've already got cars lining up here. So it's about time to send Dan back up to commentary. You better make it in time. Thank you very much then to Dan Rook, and he can now join his co-commentator for the weekend, Martin Haven.
My microphone on. Good morning, everybody. First link done, and no rain so far here, but we have had a little bit of drizzle already this morning. Sun is out, clouds are out, threatening rain throughout the weekend, but at the moment the track is dry. We've had one free practice in the wet, one free practice in the dry. So before we get into qualifying, let's take a look at the European Rallycross Championship season so far. One took place at the Silverstone Speed Machine weekend in the UK.
struggled a bit after the jump in the right, because I think it was oil or something in the corner, but it was so slippery. So it was really tough to be in the lead and find that grip, and he was really close behind, but he was gentle, so it was really nice.
Thomas Brinderson kept Robin Larsen honest all the way to the flag. Jean-Baptiste Dubourg, great use of the Joker lap to take third. Larsen, though, with win number 1 of the season. Then it was on to hell in Norway with epically rainy conditions.
Much better start from the front row, but JB Dubourg took up way better on row 2. So it wasn't as bad as it was in the semi-final. JB Dubourg goes straight to the Joker lap. Andrea Dubourg's gone in the back. Eakin going to go through in P2 on the Joker run. Sondra Evjen having a look at Larsen. Larsen splashes through the puddles on the inside. Brinderson is in third place. Larsen is out in front. Oh, Brinderson up the inside of Evjen. Evjen gets punted wide. Almost in the wall, but just about holds on. Same place that Brinderson made the pass in the semi-final. Oh, Dubourg underneath Evjen. Evjen loses another spot. So JB Dubourg moves up into P3 and has jokered already. So that's a fantastic drive by him, and he's only 1.7 off the back of Brinderson. JB Dubourg doing a brilliant job. Larsen now full focus, coming up to the last. So you can hear the wheels spin up the hill in 4th gear. The wheels are spinning like mad. Larsen has to go Joker now. But JB Dubourg on the inside. Larsen's got it straight. Brilliantly timed. The gap was 4.1 when they went in, and you can see he's just in front. So it's crazy, but the gap for a Joker is pretty much exactly what it was in the dry. Larsen then with a brilliant performance this weekend. He took the TQ, he won his semi-final in atrocious conditions from an unlikely grip level on pole. Went backwards at the start, but he has managed to hold on. Fantastic drive. Robin Larsen wins his 2nd round in a row. JB Dubourg goes 1 better than he did last time at Silverstone. He takes P2. Brinderson drops down to P3. It's the same 3 drivers on the podium as it was for round 1.
Again, great use of the Joker for JB Dubourg. He finished in 2nd place. Thomas Brinderson, though, still with a slight advantage. Robin Larsen, 2 from 2 as they headed to Hulles in Sweden. A magic weekend for the championship leader.
And Tiedemann's got a good start, but Larsen pulls away as he finds the traction. JB Dubourg trying to look up the inside of Tiedemann. Tiedemann runs wide, he's in the gravel. Drops down to P3, goes Joker. Well done, Tiedemann, to force from where he was outside down to get into the Joker first was amazing. Larsen leading from JB Dubourg. JB Dubourg at the minute is in P3 in the standings. And of course, Brinderson hasn't made it through to the final. So JB Dubourg here, I think, is going to be able to move up to 2nd in the standings. Dubourg goes Joker now. Tiedemann, I think, may get Dubourg here. He's going to. Dubourg gets on the gas, but Tiedemann's got enough. So Tiedemann is up level with Larsen. Look at the flames out the back of the beacon. Pontus Tiedemann going for the win at home for Sweden. Larsen through that corner. Got a Joker on this lap. Here we go. Watch for Larsen with a spectacular Joker. Absolutely sideways. Oh my goodness me. You don't get any more committed than that. When you're that far in front, you might as well, I'll tell you what, I'll take it steady. Not Robin Larsen. He won round 1 in the UK. He won round 2 in Norway, but this is the one that means the most. He gets on the handbrake. Larsen makes it 3 from 3 at home. Hulles in Sweden. And it's a Swedish 1-2 as Tiedemann crosses the line P2.
Perfect result for Robin Larsen and for the Swedish fans. A Swedish 1-2 in the event. Larsen with a perfect 90 points. 3 races, 3 wins. Jean-Baptiste Dubourg, Thomas Brinderson chasing him hard with Pontus Tiedemann in 4th. So, is he on his way to a perfect season? Well, Dan, we saw him in the middle of town last night, watching the bands and just taking in the evening atmosphere. He looked very relaxed. He's 3 from 3, 3 to go. Wasn't fastest in free practice, though.
No, he the second time out on track when it was a little bit damp, he was a little bit behind, but actually went and spoke to the team this morning and they were having a few turbo issues with the car. So even though having a bit of turbo issues, he's still in the top 2 in the times, so he's looking really strong.
Little chink of daylight maybe for some of his rivals. Well, let's take a look at this track then, Dan. It's one of the oldest in the business, it's the oldest in the championship, and this track has got a couple of really key passing places.
Yeah, so turn 1 off the line is always a key one here, so it doesn't necessarily matter about your grid slot. You can fight on the way into turn 1 and on the way out as well, and then the key passing places are then again on the way into turn 2. But you can also slip yourself up the inside as they come through the really fast gravel section, really committed part of the course that they have to, if they want to get past there, they have to get a little bit of elbows out.
Well, the map doesn't really show it, but it is very steep. It's an uphill hairpin, turn 1, quite wide, and then all the way downhill to turn 2, very quick between the barriers. I mean, it's almost like Monaco here. It's steel rails everywhere, and coming out of turn 2, back up the hill, that's an area where you reckon you can win or lose here.
Yeah, it's very narrow, and especially when we've had a few races on there as well, the gravel gets really, really rutted up, and that's where you have to be really committed with what you do in order to gain the time.
So this is the look coming down the hill, or they will come down towards us. This is a view from just before turn 2, and as you can see, it is very narrow. In the old days, in the 80s, the banks on the outside didn't used to have tyre walls or metal barriers. You can actually ride up the bank. Here, not quite so much. And it is, I mean, it's just waiting to take corners off the cars, isn't it?
Yeah, we've seen you know, some damage here in the past, but generally the guys seem to be pretty good through these sections.
And the joker there on the left-hand side, very short but really tight on that left-hand hairpin apex, isn't it? So you, what sort of margin are you going to have to look at to have to get a joker to the car behind you?
I mean, I think we're looking at roughly, I mean, we'll see it more when we see the racing start. It's going to be different between the Super 1600 and the Supercars because of the extra traction that the Supercars will have on the way out of the gravel section there. But yeah, we'll see the times roughly. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll have to have a check.
Yeah, definitely. That's what the spotters will all be looking for as well. Fourth weekend of the championship. We're Buxtehude, the Estering circuit in Germany, just between Hamburg and the North Sea. And this is the first of our 4-5 qualifying grids. So the pole sitter, number 80 car, that's Lars Christian Rosland in the Corsa, the red and black machine. Alongside him is Timur Shigatudinov in the Audi A1 and Radoslav Rachowski of Poland in the Skoda Fabia. Fabia by far the most numerous cars in the Super 1600 field. Traction is going to be a real premium for these guys off the line, and then commitment into turn 1. So there's Rachowski, the red and black colours. He's on the outside of this 3-car first qualifying heat. Now, how much of an advantage is pole position? Not much at all, it seems. Shigatudinov has been very quick so far in free practice. How committed can he be with a car on the outside and one on the inside into turn 1? Dan, he's got the lead. Now he's got to plan how to use it best.
Yeah, so fantastic start there by the Audi of Shigatudinov into turn 1, and that just goes to show that pole position isn't necessarily the best one, but we're seeing a drying track at the moment as well, everybody is being caught out there. We've got 2 off into the gravel. Are they going to be able to get out there? It's a Super 1600 car, so they're only front-wheel drive.
Rosland is buried. He's not getting out. Rachowski does. Or no, he doesn't. Now, if Rosland can't get out, it'll be the first red flag of the weekend, will it? I'm not sure that the race director is going to have much time to waste with this.
Shigatudinov there, taking it not too sideways on the way into turn 1. Of course, these Super 1600 cars don't have the same traction that the Supercars do on the way through that gravel corner, so they're and we don't see a red flag.
No, you've got to be super committed there at the top of the track. Well, we've seen 117 come by us, which was Rachowski in the Fabia. But it looks as though our pole sitter, Lars Christian Rosland, the Norwegian, in the Opel Corsa is still buried. He hasn't set a sector time for sector 2 on that opening lap. So this is all about pace, isn't it? It's not about winning this at the slowest possible speed. It's still about winning it at the fastest possible speed, because this is a qualifying lap.
Yeah, this is qualifying. So of course, all the times get added together, and I think Shigatudinov at the minute is in a disadvantage. I mean, he's not obviously got people around him, so he's driving his own race, but the track is drying. We can see the dry line forming all the way around there, and that's just going to carry on getting drier and drier through the course of the qualifying. So track conditions for later people will be better, especially on the tarmac. I mean, maybe not so much for the gravel where it starts to rut up, but with these only being 200 odd horsepower front-wheel drive cars, it shouldn't rut up too much with these guys going around. It's once the supercars have gone when you start to see the big ruts.
The other thing for the Russian is that he's looked in his mirrors out of turn 2, there's no one there. So immediately he's going, right, what am I doing? So he keeps his foot buried, but then he's thinking all the way up to turn 1 again to start the second lap. Right, where is everybody? What's going on? Do I need to lift off? Wait for a flag, and of course then there's going to be yellow flags out protecting that car stuck in the gravel at turn 2, so effectively he's not going to be able to set any quick laps.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have his spotters on the radio to him, telling him what had happened, and that now he's just, well, look, he's 18 seconds clear of second place, so he doesn't have to worry about looking in his mirrors or anything like that. But of course, he got caught out himself into turn 2, so he would have been taking it easy the rest of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, hopefully, well, there's no guarantee he does the Joker on the final lap. There's no guarantee it's actually going to stay dry. At the moment, it's drying quite quickly because there's a bit of a breeze, but it could rain at any moment. You know, we did our little pre-live rehearsal, and it was raining. When you went live, it was dry. We've had an ambitious wasp coming into the booth, looking for a bit of a resuscitation from the cold. But there's the checker flag out for both cars. So Rachowski finishes, and Shigabutinov finishes. So fastest lap was a 43.5 for Shigabutinov, 43.7 for Rachowski. Okay, well, they may have had the best of the conditions, but for Lars Rosland, the Dane, first corner, the Norwegian rather, first corner off, second corner off in the Opel Corsa, so that's one qualifying run down for him. He can't make any more mistakes, can he?
No, so of course it's a very packed field here as well, so going to need to get the best results, but we'll take a look at what happens here. So this is the drive into turn 1, only 3 cars, so not as much carnage as you'd expect to see, and this is where we had a challenge from Rosland up the inside of Rachowski, but they both got caught out on the brakes there, and luckily Rachowski was able to get away, but not the same for Rosland.
Yeah, 2 of them buried in the turn 2 gravel, which left Shigabutinov out on his own. And checker flag jokering on the very last lap, and that's because it's such a short run to the line. You don't lose ground coming back up the hill again, as you would do if you do it on the first lap. So, bit of entertainment for the marshals down at turn 2 in the very first of our qualifying runs. No offs in free practice, so they're saving it for when we go on air.
Yeah, so they've got something to do there now, but it's not going to be too hard work. They've only got to tow it out. Just make sure, boys, you don't back that truck into the gravel. You might be stuck yourselves.
We've already lost one of our supercar competitors this morning. Portuguese driver Mario Barbosa broke a camshaft in his DS3, so he did 1 free practice run, didn't do the second one, and that's a car that you know well.
Yeah, so the DS3 of Barbosa is the one I drove in 2016 to take the British Championship, and it's a shame that he's broken in practice. He was looking quite good out there, but yeah, unfortunately we won't be seeing him today. Hopefully he can get it fixed for tomorrow.
Yeah, so 2 qualifying runs today, 2 tomorrow morning before we get into the semis and the finals. Again, he's going to be really up against it, isn't it? Because he's only got 2 shots at actually getting a decent time in. But we'll wait and see how that goes. I think the chances of the boys getting it out this afternoon for 2 o'clock, it's midday now. The second qualifying starts at 2:30, so very little chance of that. So, cars heading to the pre-grid for our second qualifying race, and from the right-hand pole position we'll be starting the Peugeot 207 of Czech driver Marcel Suchy. Jeremy Lombeck alongside him, the Frenchman in the Citroën C2. The blue and white of the fastest man so far in free practice, that's Hungary's Gergely Marton in the Audi A1. He'll start in the middle of the 5. Then alongside him to his left, Ole Henry Steinselt, the Norwegian's Fabia, that's the red and white car. And then Marat Kanyshev, he will be starting his Fabia, the Russian, on the outside. That's the far right as you look at it, driver's left. This is upside down. So the Czech colours, red, white and blue, the Czech national team. Peugeot 207 of Marcel Suchy, the pole sitter. It is drying a little. You can see that there's some rubber starting to go down there, Dan, but we'll have to wait and see whether he makes a slightly better fist of pole position than Lars Rosland in the first of our qualifying races.
Worth noting here as well, we got 5 cars in this race rather than 3, so the squabble into turn 1 is going to be a bit tighter this time.
Well, the high wide line around the outside gives you momentum. That's perhaps even more of an issue when you've only got a couple of 100 horsepower and front-wheel drive, but you do risk getting knocked out of bed, don't you?
Yeah, the problem with these cars is they don't have the grip and the power to pull themselves up. Who's going to do it best? The lights are on. Marcel Suchy on your left on pole position, but a great start from the Russian. From the outside of the front row goes the long way round. Suchy bumps and bangs with Jeremy Lombeck, and they go in 4th and 5th. It is the Russian Kanyshev who comes out in front. Textbook stuff there, wasn't it? Just got the RPM perfect. These cars don't have launch control like we see on the Supercars and the RX2 cars, so they have to judge it all with their right foot, and he just got it perfect there. Minimum wheel spin, because these guys struggle for traction, and he just launched off away from everybody else.
Yeah, Gergely Martin went right with him. Now the question is, do you sit in the wheel tracks of the leader and try and force an error, wait for him to run wide, or do you joker early? And the answer is not jokering early. Somebody's gone from the back, that's 128, and that was Jeremy Lombeck. So he had nothing much to lose, did he?
No, so worth him going to the joker lap. Of course, he's at the back of the train, so he's going to be losing time by having to break that tiny bit early with the Constantina effect on the way into the corners. As Suchy's looking up the inside of Ole Henry Steinhold in the background, and he looks like he's got past, but he's on the damp line as they come into the second corner, and they make contact, and Ole Henry Steinhold is backwards, he's off into the gravel. Hopefully he can pull that out. No, we see the wheel spinning. I think we've got another one buried down there for this run.
Looks like it, doesn't it? So Steinsholt is out. Suchy did move up one then as a result. Steinsholt was narrowly in front, but trying to close the door didn't really work for him. Kanyshev, the Russian, still leading from Gergely Martin.
The lap times of these guys aren't too far off Shiga Butinov. Shiga Butinov was a 10th up at the moment, but I think Martin's got pace, and he's up the inside of here of the Russian Skoda. He looks like he's already got past him as he comes into turn 2. Yes, he has, so got a much better run out of the first corner hairpin, and the traction of that Audi was really good, and he managed to make his way through.
Well, that's the key. We were up there at the beginning of free practice when it was wet. They were wheel spinning furiously. If you can just get a tiny bit of extra traction out of turn 1, then you can make the pass down the hill, because the other guy is just plain slow.
Yeah, as he's gone to the joker lap there, I'm not sure if that was intentional, because they would have wanted to take him in on the last lap, but yeah, so he's gone to the joker lap now and dropped back from where he already was. So I think maybe he lost his braking point there as he was going into the standard lap and overshot.
Did kind of look like it, didn't he? He's done it anyway, so Knightsev will do it on the final lap, but at least it won't be holding Martin up. The advantage there, of course, is it's not about who crosses the line first, it's how fast you complete the lap. So Martin at least is in free air here, won't be held up. Let's see how much dust and dirt is already drying out on the track. It's not quite the dust bowl it was. So the Russian back in the lead. He'll have to joker at the end of the lap, goes straight in. Yeah, Martin, I think you're right. He had a bit of a bobble as he turned in, didn't he? I think he overshot his braking and just got it wrong. So half a second behind, Knightsev at the line. Martin using that earlier joker and keeping his speed up. So the Audi A1 marks itself as definitely a car to watch. So Gergely Martin, the Hungarian, with the first of the flag, but also with a quick lap.
That was a good demonstration there of why the joker lap is fast on the last lap.
Yeah. So Gergely Martin from Marek Knightsev and Marcel Suchy, they are the top 3. And Shigabutinov, again, the yellow flags down at the final, the second corner, can't really have helped him much. So he is still only third fastest. And the top two in qualifying race 2 go to the top of the pile.
So this is the start. The Russian on the outside just absolutely hooked it up, and he drove clear of everybody before they even got to the gravel section. So he just had to make sure he could get the turn in there at turn 1, with it being a little bit slippy here.
And the Audi driver Martin, he managed to get off the line as the two on his right were fighting each other, and on his left had already disappeared. So he slotted into second, and then down at the hairpin, that was the end for Ole Henry Steinsholt.
See the car just beached there, doesn't have the traction to get him out. Are we going to see here where Martin, no, we didn't see, where he had a bit of a fluff and went straight onto the Joker lap.
Right, well, let's catch up with Laura.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, Gergely, that was a great drive from you there. How's the track feeling? Is it drying out?
Thank you very much. Actually, it's now here. It's an ever-changing condition, so it's quite challenging now to find a good grip. And even at the start was very hard. And from the outside line, Knezev managed to get a really good start. So we had some battles, but finally I managed to win, get a good pace. So we'll see how the others will go.
And a good Joker tactic from you as well.
Yeah. Actually, I overtook him on track, and then I was like, okay, then maybe now we have pace to go to the Joker. So yeah, so good so far. We'll see. We have to just keep it up.
Thank you very much. Best of luck for qualifying 2.
So happy 21-year-old Hungarian, not quite so happy 16-year-old Ole Henry Steinsholt. Doesn't turn 17 until August the 31st. Youngest competitor in the field.
I remember seeing him competing recently in the junior championship in the British Rallycross, Suzuki Swifts.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's a great training ground, isn't it, for young rallycross drivers, and then on the European stage, Super 1600s, that's the next step up. And of course, everybody is looking with hungry eyes at Supercars or RX2 and moving on up the ladder. So Steinsholt in the gravel, down at turn 2. It's getting pretty dusty, isn't it? And that's going to be an issue, because although you're not on the loose when you're coming down the hill, you are on a very dusty tarmac. So actually, it might as well be when you're braking.
Yeah, and of course, we've got the damp patches as well, which we can still see out there. It is drying up, but yeah, those damp patches aren't going to help. And yeah, the dust, I can see out the commentary position, the dust on the track, you can see just literally all the lines as if it was a scattering of snow where the tyres have been crossing over it. So it's a really dusty surface.
So we are missing one from our race 3 grid. Pavel Wimmer, the man on pole position in the Fabia, with Jolly, the Hungarian, in his Skoda second. Marius Birmingwood in his Skoda Fabia, the Norwegian, is third from the right. No, Jano Ligur, the Estonian's Fabia, hasn't made it to the start line, and Marcel Snuyers, the Dutchman, in the bright yellow Renault Megane. He is Billy No-Makes on the outside. Now that might give him, if he gets hooked up off the start, a really good shot to do what the Russian Knaichev did in the first run and go all the long way round as the 3 to his right battle for the lead. There we go. Wasn't a great start for the Megane, so much for that. It's Marius Birmingrud from the middle of the grid with the Norwegian flag on the roof, who heads them into turn 1. Number 3 on the inside, Pavel Wimmer in his Skoda Fabia. So it's Skoda, 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 and the Renault Megane trying to insert itself into the top 3.
Yeah, fantastic start by Birmingrud there, and he's going to be feeling on top form. He won the last round in Julius, the first person to have beaten Nureyev in the Super 1600 class this year, so he's going to be looking strong, and I'm sure he's going to be set for a good time here.
Yeah, Nureyev didn't look quite as convincing maybe as he might have done in free practice. Birmingrud, though, with the early advantage. Wimmer not far behind, but dropping back. Didn't get a great exit there either, Wimmer. So Pavel Wimmer started from pole, but Marius Birmingrud from the middle of the front row, and that's where the Audi A1 of Gergely Martin came from in our second qualifying race. Birmingrud has definitely got the pace here. It's about Jolly and Wimmer now. question, Dan, is when you're there in third place, like Jolly, do you take the joker now and try and give yourself a bit of free track and then hope that you have got more pace than you think? Or is he just thinking he's being held up by the car in front?
I think tactically, especially in the qualifying, it's best for him to stick in third position. He's not being held up too much, but also if he goes for the joker lap, because Snoyers hasn't gone, he then runs the risk of dropping behind Snoyers and then being held up even more. So he has to watch the gap behind him as well as what's happening on in front of him. But of course, like we've discussed, the tactics at this track tends to be to joker on the last lap, because you don't lose as much time as if you do it through the main race.
So Birmingham undoubtedly will do that. He's already nearly 2 seconds clear at the end of 2 laps. And 3 at corner 2, and then climbing all the way back up the hill. And again, the camera doesn't really do it justice. It is quite a lot steeper than you think as they crest the rise, drop down to our left. They're coming right in front of us. The spotters are in the gallery beside us on top of the black Monster Energy FIA European Rallycross truck. Wimmer and Jolly second and third across the line, and Snoyers in fourth position still in the Renault Megane.
Birmingham's lap times are looking incredible. He set a 42.4 on the last 2 laps, which is 1.3 seconds faster than Martin, who is the current leader of the qualifying session. So he is looking really, really fast here.
Now, how much of that is a factor that it's getting a little grippier with every successive lap, never mind with every successive qualifying heat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a factor, but he is looking on form as we see him going to the joker lap now for the last lap, or 3 in a train. It will be 4 when Snoyers joins the back of them, but Birmingham is going to take the win on this occasion.
Yeah, and that is a very fast time. 2 minutes 59, 5.1 seconds clear. That's a massive advantage. Might get some money on him. He is comfortably the quickest so far, isn't he? Kind of quasi Skoda factory colours, red, white and green, or green, white and black. Maris Birmingham, the Skoda Fabia, comfortably quickest. In fact, the top 3 are the fastest 3 runs we've seen so far, aren't they? Gergely Martin, 3 minutes 4.5. Yeah, you can see that. So even Marcel Snoyers ahead of Marcel Sushi. He's 7th quickest qualifier so far. Of course, this is only the first of 4 rounds of qualifying before we get into the semis and the finals tomorrow afternoon. But away from the start, there was no question who won the whole shot, was there?
No, Birmingham had a fantastic drive off the corner there and was able to hold it together, even with Wimmer in his back right rear. He was able to keep his cool through the corner and come out in front, and he pulled an impressive gap.
Yeah, crucially, he was clear as they got into the turn 2 braking area and then kept going away. So the fastest 3 qualified so far from that race. Let's get down and hear from Laura Winter.
Very, very quick race indeed. Did you know you had that kind of speed coming in this morning?
You know, we had a quite good race last time in this, and quite confident on this track. Been there 2 years before, so it's good to get going. I've been really nervous trying to find the pace at this track. It's so different from everyone else this year, so it's good to get this kind of a start. But everyone is still yet to race, and they're quick, so let's see.
Yeah, we shall see. Obviously, it rained earlier as well. How are conditions out there?
It's really difficult to know if it's kind of dry tires or wet tires, and you have some advantages somewhere and lose something. So I think we managed to get it right this time, and we'll see how it evolves.
Well, thank you, and best of luck for qualifying too. Well done.
Well, Dan, there's something that we haven't talked about, you know, which way you're going to jump. If you've just watched the last race and you're going to the grid now on wet tyres, you go, oh, I'm so dead, I've made the wrong choice, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure all of the guys now, especially ones in the later race, will be on the dry tyre.
All right, well, pole position for our 4th qualifying race goes to Citroën C2 of Guro Marjamoen, the Norwegian girl on the inside on driver's right. Yuri Belevsky in the A1 lines up 2nd. Thomas Krajcek in the Skoda Citigo in 3rd. Artur Egorov, the Russian, in his Audi A1, and then Anthony Jan, the Frenchman, in the Renault Clio. So it is the red and black car of Guro Marjamoen who's on the inside. The dark blue car, that is Yuri Belevsky alongside her. Krajicek in the middle of the grid in the Skoda Citigo, unique so far in European Rallycross. Away they go. We should start again from the middle. Third and fourth on the grids. That's Krajicek and Egorov. But slotting through on the inside. Fantastic run from Belevsky from second on the grid. The Swiss straight up into the lead.
Belevsky there using the advantage of having P2 on the grid to duck himself up the inside, and all three of those cars getting a good run off the line. But Krajicek's looking quite promising here. He's not dropped off the back of Belevsky. Yes, he's looking to go the inside, but it's not going to work. He's then on the outside for the next corner as they go up over the thick gravel section. But now he's dropped back a little bit into Gorev's sights. But
yeah, Belevsky in the Audi had to get his elbows out a little bit there, didn't he? And Kuramajimoem has gone for the Joker lap immediately. She's decided to take the medicine now. And that moves Anthony Jan up into fourth position. But the Audi driving Swiss got his elbows out and held his line and held his nerve, and Krajicek couldn't quite get by.
Yeah, Igorov now is looking for a way past Krajicek as he's had a little duck at the inside on the way into the braking zone, just to show him that he was there, not to try and make the move, but to just try and pile the pressure on.
Skoda Citigo looks like a Citroen C2. It's so upright, doesn't it? Quite different looking body shape. Egorov close to try and have a push, but not really able to do much about the man in front.
As Krajicek just ran wide there on the exit of the final corner. Igorov's now looking up the inside, he elbows out, he's pushed his way up through, so fantastic move there, taking the opportunity of Krajicek making that mistake, and was just able to get himself up there now into P2 behind his fellow teammate.
And that is all part of the game here, isn't it? Is trying to force the error from the man in front, and as the conditions are changing so much, I think that just heard, oh, look, the Citigo goes straight back up the inside. Egorov just ran a little wide in turn two, and Krajicek was ready for him.
Yeah, Krajicek there for me on the brakes was a little bit rough. I think he pushed Egorov on a little bit there. And so we might see a steward's investigation there. I'm not too sure, but yeah, he got a bit of a push and pass.
Now, Marjamern right at the back is held up behind Anthony Jan going on to the final lap, so she might have lost a little bit of pace by jokering first. Again, it's the first, the qualifying run, so you've got to try these things. The spotters will be watching the splits, and particularly how much time you're losing on a good joker and how much more you lose on a bad joker lap. It's one thing knowing what the minimum you've got to leave if you're in the lead before you joker is, but if you fluff it, that didn't entirely look the smoothest from Belevsky. He goes in, Krajicek follows, Egorov has already done his, so Anthony Jan will do his now, which will move Marjamern up to fourth place, or will it? Anthony Jan very close now, he got in too deep and absolutely made a Horlicks of that all the way to the line. So Belevsky, good start, good launch, defended his position in the first couple of corners, and the run back out of turn two up the hill as well. That's where the challenge came. So Yuri Belevsky, the Swiss from Thomas Krajicek and Artur Egorov, they're the fastest three. And again, all inside 3 minutes 4, so they will qualify strongly. Egorov in the top half dozen, but Marius Bermingrud still the fastest, the only sub 3 minutes qualifying run so far. So Yuri Belevsky second, Thomas Krajicek moves into fourth. Belevsky did make a good start, didn't he?
Yeah, not quite getting the perfect launch, as the two beside him had the tiny bit of an edge, but again, having the inside line there, he was able to push his way up through, and this is the contact there between Krajicek and Belevsky as he tried to make a move past him, but then lost him some time, and then he fell back into the clutches of Egorov.
And then Egorov shoving Krajicek aside, so if Krajicek got into him under braking on the next lap, was there a little contact? I think maybe he felt that was fair justice. Well, let's get down and hear again from Laura Winter.
Well done, second fastest overall. What do you make of your run there?
Thank you very much first for the congratulations. It was a bit slippery because, you know, conditions are mixed, wet and dry. I had a not so good start. Then I could be inside for the first corner still. And then I just pushed my maximum. Made one little mistake, so there was a fight between first and second. But then I think I just pushed and it all went well.
So a mistake, so perhaps more speed to come from you in qualifying too, we hope.
I hope. I definitely hope for that. So in Q2 I think we can learn a bit from mistakes and definitely have a better run.
We'll see. Best of luck for you for qualifying too. Well done.
Laura Winter there with Yuri Bolevsky, and our grid is almost complete for the final of our first qualifiers for Super 1600. This is Igor Sanin on pole position, the 20-year-old Russian in his Twingo. Adyan Nureyev, the A1 alongside him. Then in the middle of the row is Josef Suster in his Skoda Fabia. Jack Thorne from Great Britain in the Renault Twingo is on second from the end, and Sim Saluri, the Estonian teenager, he is in his Renault Twingo, car number 20. Saluri, not teens, yeah, I'm reading the wrong column, 35-year-old Sim Saluri on the outside. So Igor Sanin on the inside. Now, can somebody from pole position get away cleanly here? Away they go. Decent start from the pole man, but again, second and fifth. That's Nureyev from second with the yellow and black, and Sim Saluri around the outside with the black nose. The Estonian really pushing the Russian hard. The Russian drifts him out wide into the barriers. There's a bit of arms and elbows. And looks like Jack Thorne has come off worst. He has. Broken steering for Jack Thorne. So we're down to 4, and I'm not sure how they're going to get by then. Into the lead, Igor Sanin. He's our corner. Dives by Nureyev. Nureyev wasn't dominant force in free practice maybe that he would like to have been, but free practice is only free practice, doesn't count for much, and he goes the long way round the outside, jokering immediately.
Interesting move there for Nureyev to be going into the joker lap. I wasn't expecting him to be doing it, but then of course we've had fights back behind that we've not seen, so actually he's not fallen behind anybody now. He's still in second place, but I want to go back to that turn 1. It just goes to show that you can have the best start, but then anything can happen in the mid-corner. You know, you had Nureyev, who looked like he was going to take the run all the way down to turn 2, but then Sanin, who had not such a great start, ducked himself at the inside and was then able to get the run down and is now in the lead.
Sanin's got a little bit of lopsided front bodywork, hasn't he? That's not quite how it came out the factory, I don't think, or how it came out of the awning. Lots of understeer on the dust. It is really, really as slippery almost on the tarmac now as it is on the loose.
Yeah, we're seeing it start to clean up a little bit as I'm looking at the commentary position. It's not quite as bad as it was, but it's still very, very slippery out there, and it's not the sort of grip level you would have necessarily expected from tarmac.
So our Supercar Qualifiers will be going out next, and they'll be taking a look at this and trying to figure out exactly where to find the grip. There's not going to be much time to get the sweepers out. They will do that before Q2 starts, just after 2 o'clock this afternoon, after 2:30. And hear from Laura off air that it is starting to spot with rain. Now, that will bring the dust level down, but it won't do much for traction. Nureyev, having jokered on the last lap, is only half a second behind Sanin and reeling him in hand over fist here, Dan.
Yeah, he has got a lot of pace, and he's actually set the fastest lap so far out of all of the qualifying for Super 1600 at 41.2, which is it's in the next second to what Bergeringer did.
Yeah, fantastic pace from the Russian. So Nureyev so far has produced the goods. Gaps down to 0.3 as they went into the braking zone at turn 2. 0.1. Sanin takes the joker. Last lap, this is going to be close. Nureyev's ahead of him at the line. So that gives Nureyev a whole pile of confidence. He jokered first and still produced the speed up the hill into turn 1 that allowed him to continue to close on the leader. So Adar Nureyev in the Audi A1, not just the first man to the checkered flag there, but a 2-minute 57.4 for the heat. Sanin 2:57.9. Those are the fastest 2 runs we've had. Josef Suster in third, 3 minutes 2, and even Sim Saluri's 3:05.8. That shows how quickly things are speeding up. Saluri probably still in the top 10, but Nureyev and Sanin quicker for the first time than Marius Bermingrud. Well, Laura will be down there trying to grab our fastest man, Eidar Nureyev, but he made a good start from the inside, didn't he, from second on the grid, up the inside, and just held his line and held his nerve.
Yeah, he got into the side of Saluri there and tried to push him wide, and then that just left his inside wide open for Sanin to go through, and then taking the Joker lap on the first lap with, of course, we saw some action behind which we didn't quite catch on camera, which meant the other guys dropped back. So he had the gap to do it, and from there he was able to catch up with Sanin. He took the fastest lap by 1.2 seconds to what we'd seen before, and then the fastest time by 1.9.
Impressive stuff from Eidar Nureyev in the Audi A1, fastest of all in our first qualifying for Super 1600. So impressive stuff from the Russian, and actually what I thought was most impressive is he was behind Sanin, and at the end of lap 1 made it look like he was actually really putting in a move on Sanin, and then went straight up the Joker. So he put the guy in front of him under real pressure, knowing he was going to Joker anyway. Yeah,
so by going out that bit wider around the outside, it meant he didn't lose time on the brakes behind Sanin, where he would have been braking for the standard lap. So able to get around and carry more momentum into the Joker. But yeah, also for Sanin, he would have known how close that Nureyev would have been coming around the outside of him there, and it would have just been a little bit enough to disrupt him. Yeah, and being caught all the way up to the flag as well, knowing that he still had to Joker, and Nureyev is right on his back bumper again. So yeah, tough stuff from him. Okay, so let's see how they finished. Nureyev, the fastest man of the lot, with Sanin second, and Marius Bermingrud now. That was in the third of our groups, our third qualifying race. So it was getting drier and faster all the way through. Bolevsky came out of the fourth race, and Josef Suster, he came out of the fifth race. So nobody from our first two. Who was the fastest of all? Gergely Marton wasn't he? He was fastest in free practice. He's not even in the top 8. So the first couple of grids of cars really struggled. There's Gergely Marton, 10th fastest. So at the moment, Shigabutinov, who was in Heat 1 basically on his own because the other two went off at turn 2, he's got some work to do. He is on the bubble in 12th. Saluri, Snuyers, Suchi, Marjaman, and the rest of the 23 cars have got more work to do, especially Jano Ligur, who didn't even get to the line. Okay, so that's the first of our Super 1600 qualifiers. They got Q2 this afternoon, Q3 and Q4 tomorrow morning, and then we'll cut the field and go into the semis and the finals. But now, this is what we've been watching in free practice, the Supercars, and this is a whole different league. I mean, it's a big jump from Super 1600 to go up to Supercars, right? Yeah, so going from a front-wheel drive car to a four-wheel drive car is one thing, but then these cars being triple the power almost is another. Okay, so here is the first grid of 3. There are 4 groups here. We've got 18 cars, although we are missing one. So Ales Fusik in his Volkswagen Polo, Paulos Pleskovas in the Ford Fiesta, and perhaps the man to watch here this weekend, fastest in free practice, JB Dubourg, Jean-Baptiste in the Peugeot 208, the older of the two brothers, and perhaps the biggest challenge to our points leader, Robin Larson, here this weekend. JB on the outside in red, white and blue, of course, typically French livery for JB, a fierce patriot. Let's see what he can do in the Peugeot. So 600 horsepower, four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer, full traction, anti-lag, and full commitment and fully launched, and JB more sideways than he was in practice as he gets turned around. Pleskovas comes through it, but Ales Fucic will immediately be struck off the Dubourg family Christmas card list because he's the man that made contact with JB from behind. Yeah, nightmare start there from JB, getting the run, but then the big squeeze with, you know, there's only 3 of them actually going into turn 1, so it's going to be interesting with 5. But yeah, JB there, gutted for him. He had a good launch and it was showing really good pace this morning in practice, so this is really not going to help him out. Of course, now he's got that big gap to Pleskovas in front of him, so at least for the moment he's not going to be held up, but now he's just got to look to when he wants to take the Joker lap to try and maximise the amount of free air he has. Yeah, well, he's clear of Fucic,
And if Pleskavas jokers now, JB's not going to get held up. Pleskavas, I'm sure, won't joke until the final lap, so JB probably won't either. It's damage limitations. He's got to learn as much as he can out of this. It's not going to end up being the fastest of the qualifying runs that he'll do, chances are. Of course, unless the rest of the weekend is wet. And actually the forecast suggested it might be, so this might be his best chance to really qualify strongly for the semis. Pleskavas, though, out front. But look at the gap come down. It's down to 2.5 seconds already. And JB jokers now. It was 1 second. He found a 1.5 seconds up the hill. Dan, you talked to us about that last night. Up the hill towards our commentary position, that's the magic zone where you can find time.
Yeah, I mean, this first corner, which we're just watching now, is dramatic. But of course, it's easy to think that that's the crucial spot, but actually it's as they come up the hill through the narrow barriers, it is very rewarding for a lot of commitment. This is now where Pleskavas is, up through here. You have to show so much commitment, and we can see there JB is so much more sideways, carries so much more speed up the hills. Pleskavas goes joker now to free JB de Bourg, so JB should be able to now string in some really good laps. Well, from turn 2, it's gone from 2 seconds to 1 second behind Pleskavas, and now he's 8/10 in front. He found a second up the hill on that lap. A full second. That's ridiculous in these cars that are so close in terms of pace. So JB, despite getting turned around at the first corner, this could be a good qualifying run for him. And of course, if it rains now and gets less grippy in the next 3 heats, then suddenly he's starting to look like a bit of a superstar. Yeah, we don't know if we're going to see some rain as well, so this could potentially be the best run of the qualifying.
Yeah. So JB de Bourg is the first man to the checkered flag. Paulius Pleskavas, the Lithuanian, in the Fiesta in second, and Ales Fucik, the Czech in the Polo, comes home in third place. So 2 minutes 46.6, that's it's quite some difference in pace, isn't it, from 3 minutes 5 in the Super 1600s. Jean-Baptiste de Bourg, the fastest of them so far. Paulius Pleskavas second and Ales Fucik third. It'll be interesting to see what the third heat does. That could be very entertaining with Thomas Brinson in it, René Munich, and the second heat's got Robin Larsson in, where they will find their pace. Now de Bourg, it was 3 into 1 doesn't go, and in fact it wasn't contact with Pleskavas, was it? It was from the inside when Ales Fucik caught him.
Yeah, I think it was just Fucik had to try and get over so he didn't get caught out on the concrete wall on the inside. And Jean-Baptiste and Pleskavas were just holding their line, as you know, they do have a right to do. But then JB, unfortunately, there being the victim and going around backwards, as well as Fucik as well, actually being left in turn 1.
So great recovery from JB de Bourg.
Well, JB, so much pace coming up this hill just behind me here where we're interviewing you. What happened, though, off the start and into turn 1?
This is motorsport, just a race incident before the first corner. I was maybe a bit generous, and I tried to close the gap with the guy in front of me, and it was a race incident. Not so good for the time of the heat one, but after my pace was very good. I was very happy with the setup of the car, but unfortunately the mistake at the first corner will cost me a lot.
You are flying past us here, and is that really where you can make a difference on the lap if that first turn has perhaps not gone your way?
Yeah. After I was 100% to catch the time. You know, the strategy of the weekend is to have a good start, because start is the first very important point here in this track.
Thank you very much. Well done to you.
Just a racing incident, the way he saw it, and he said maybe I was a little too generous. That's very good. So merci beaucoup to Jean-Baptiste de Bourg. His brother Andrea is on the far right-hand side of your picture. So driver's far left of the grid. It's ready for our second race. Attila Moser, the Hungarian, in the Peugeot 208, starts on pole position. Egil Jensen in the Ford Fiesta, the Norwegian. Then Rodolphe Audran from France in his Peugeot 208. Robin Larsson, our points leader. Mr. Perfect so far in the Audi A1. That may just have Cursed him. Andrea Dubourg will start on the outside of our 5-car grid. So 3 into 1 didn't go very clearly. Let's see if 5 to 1 does any better this time. So Robin Larsson, second from the right as you look at it. That is the car to watch. Sweden can produce the pace here that he has so far all year. First competitive getaway, and he's already left them stone cold out of the blocks. Contact behind. Egil Jensen almost turned around in the 61 car, the all-white Fiesta. Dan, textbook stuff from Robin Larsson.
Yeah, Robin there got the starter hooked up as we saw Dubourg beside him actually go sideways off of the grid slot, so maybe suggesting that the outside grid is a bit down, as Jensen gets a bit sideways. Dubourg trying to find his way through but can't quite get there. But yeah, Robin Larsson already got a gap of 1.6 back to second place, so he's looking super strong.
And Andrea Dubourg, a little bit of Trophy Andros ice racing tactics coming in there as he pushed Jensen. Jensen very wide out of the final corner, really threw it into the barriers almost. Andrea Dubourg up to second place. The gap at the end of the standing start first lap, 3.1 seconds, Larsson clear. So Jensen third in the all-white Fiesta. Audra in fourth now. Moser, our pole sitter, took his joker lap in Peugeot 208. So he's a couple of seconds behind this battle, but everybody is eating the dust of Robin Larsson right now.
He was so committed as he came up over that gravel section, running the car all the way out to the barrier. It's just fantastic to see. As you see him again, he's Mr. Spectacular. He's the one that we all wanted to go and watch on the way into turn 1 on the inside of the corner. And he has got so much pace. He's set 2 lap times of a 37.8, one from a standing start and one from lap 2, and that is consistency. That is only 4 hundredths of a second between them,
which shows how fast these things accelerate, because the standing start is effectively negated by the time they get to the start-finish line. That's how quick they are. Laura reporting that it is raining now, not just spits and spots, actual proper raindrops. Our roof still protecting us, and Larsson, when you're stood on the inside there, he is facing you all the way around that corner, isn't he? I mean, that's absolutely textbook stuff.
Yeah, you can look straight in at what he's doing, and you can see him getting wider and wider on the way in, but it's giving him such a good... You can see the rain there.
Yeah.
All that is heavy. Yeah, I see what you mean there. So, yeah, Robin's last lap here is going to be a little bit compromised, but I think he's done enough through the rest of the run for it to be a good time. And don't forget, JB had that disaster in turn 1, so Robbins should be on for a good time here.
Yeah, and luckily the rain arrives just on their last lap down to turn 2. Looks like everybody got through. Larsson across the line to 38.5. That's not just quicker, that's not a bit quicker, that's nearly 10 seconds quicker. 8.0 seconds faster. That's just ridiculous. And that's with more air. Look how much the wheels are leaving tracks on the tarmac now. So that's how much wetter it is. That's how much wetter it was last time round. Luckily he wasn't following anybody, so it doesn't need the wipers. But yeah, we came in this morning, the fans had already got their umbrellas strapped to the grandstand. They're going to need them now. Robin Larsson way clear of the field. Andrea Dubourg second, and Stein Egil Jensen 3:52.2, third fastest. So how does that shuffle them in? Well, hey, Kelsey Breeze, Robin Larsson fastest ahead of Andrea Dubourg, who is just what's that, 7/10 quicker than brother JB. So JB really did well to recover from that spin and get into a good qualifying run. Well, let's get down and hear from Robin Larsson. He's with Laura Winter.
Well, Robin, the rain now just beginning to come down once again, but you are 8 seconds faster than JB Dubourg. Just how happy are you with that run there?
It went well. We had a good start, then it was just to find the lines. It's pretty slippery, but much better than the practice. But I saw Dubourg have some problems in the start in his heat, so we will see Brinterson and the other guys.
You just had a brilliant start. JB Dubourg had a very tricky start. How important is that start, certainly going into turn 1?
Here it's really important. It's because you can get a car in the side, 2 or 3 cars in the side in the first corner, so you need to have those meters in front of everybody. So yeah, we work from this and we will keep on pushing.
Thank you, Robin. Well done. Best of luck for qualifying too.
Well, what a great job he did, didn't he, to escape the drama, Dan?
Yeah, fantastic job, and there wasn't too much action behind him either. Luckily, everyone got through, but Robin, you can see at this point, is already several car lengths clear. As we're going to watch now, turn 2, Dubourg trying to find his way past Jensen, but couldn't quite do it.
Well, Robin Larsson, back of the car, playing fast and loose with the barriers, and almost as flamboyant as he was on the final lap last time out in Sweden, where he was it was like he was doing demos. I mean, you almost expected him to donut during the Joker lap, he was so far clear. And here, that is a phenomenal qualifying run, and if the rain continues to come down, that may well stand as the fastest time we're going to see, who knows, maybe today. Race 3, as the cars are gridding up. This will be another 5-car grid. Yes, I can see Rennie Munich there at the back behind Tommy Karai. So Tamash. And then Rennie Munich will join in his Seat Ibiza. We arrived early this morning. It was fairly quiet here, but the fans have been coming in a steady stream. This track has been used since the early 70s, and this is a very big sport in this part of the country, so it always has great support. Let's take a look at our grid then. For the third of our race, Sondre Evjen is on pole position in the Polo. Then Christer Dalmas making his Euro Rallycross debut in an all-black Polo. Thomas Brinterson, our championship challenger in his Polo, is in the middle of the grid. Tommy Karai in the Audi A1, and then Rennie Munich in the Seat Ibiza. So Munich with a door open, and also quite a long way over to the right-hand side. He and Karai are almost touching. Karai obviously trying to stay as far wide as he can, and Munich to come in as close as he can, but we ought to be looking for Thomas Brinterson from the middle of the grid, where we expect to hit the front. Revs rise, and away we go. Good start from Munich. What a great start from Rennie Munich.
Munich there getting a little bit, already trying to...
Brinterson gets fired out.
Brinterson not able to get the car rotated. Karai already on his back bumper and couldn't get it to flick into the corner. But yeah, Munich off the start there was maybe a little bit too brave, trying to come across in front of the guys there. It was really just left his box. You can see the damp conditions there, catching everybody out.
Really slippery. Karai out very wide. Evjen is second. He was the pole man. So the guys from opposite ends of the grid, Rennie Munich from the far driver's left, and Sondre Evjen from the far driver's right. Who is going to joker this lap? Nobody is the answer. And at the tail, Christer Dalmans. That's the all-black car with the red rear wing. Oldest man in the competition, 54 years old. And he started Rallycross as 4 years ago as a result of being given a drive as a 50th birthday present. So they kind of got him in and got it. It's like, you know, when you take an 8-year-old karting, except a few birthdays later. So that's where he got the bug. So Rennie Munich, GT racer, touring car racer, rallycrosser, has the lead, and Sondre Evjen, the Norwegian, in second, and they are going to go as a clump, aren't they, all on the last lap, unless, no, just to call me a liar, through goes Christer Dalmans. First ever European Rallycross event for him.
These guys not really leaving each other behind, are they? They're all sticking together, and it looks like they had heavier rain down the bottom part of the circuit, where we're not actually stood. It's a lot damper down there than it is on the run-up to turn 1, and that's what we can see in the commentary position. So the track's not actually very big, so I'm quite surprised that we didn't get that same sort of rain, but very localised there, and that's actually where Laura Winter has stood. So sorry about that, Laura, but it's obviously only rained on your corner.
Rained on her parade. In through the Joker lap has gone Thomas Brinterson. Brinterson, 23-year-old, second in Great Britain, third in Norway, only 7th in Sweden. Though had a disappointing weekend, and there's a lot of damage on the front of Sondre Evjen's car, so he's clattered the Kristoffersen Motorsport Polo somewhere. Has he hit the barriers coming down the hill or up the hill? He's hit them somewhere, hasn't he? That can't just be from the first corner. I think he's nudged something on the way up the hill. Now Rennie Munich dives in. He takes his joker. What is the time going to be? 2:38.5 is the fastest. 2:42.3. That's not bad. 3.8 back as the rain continues to fall here, making the track a little slicker. Yeah, it's not exactly the sort of 8 miles of Spa or 12-mile lap of Le Mans, is it? You know, it's not even a mile long here. It's barely a kilometre long, and yet it's raining hard at one end and not at the other. Such are the vagaries of your weather. So René Munich, fastest. Sondra Evgen, second quickest. But again, you can see how much the time has dropped away. Not 2:38. Munich 2:42. So 7-8 seconds slower maybe for some of these guys. Munich behind Robin Larsson. So that's, yeah, 6 and then 5.8 seconds slower. And then Evgen Brinterson and Karai actually made a better fist of it than Andrea Dubourg in the last qualifier and Jean-Baptiste Dubourg in the first.
Off the start there, so that's Munich for me getting a little bit too punchy already off the line, and then we see Brinson getting left out as Karai was trying to turn across the back of Brinson, but Brinson not able to get then the rotation in through the corner, so he ended up running out wide and then dropping back behind René Munich and Sondra Evgen.
They all lost a lot of time in the first corner, didn't they? And that's where the damage of Estgen's car come. It's shaken off its bumper. Well, let's get down to Laura Winter in the rain. Let's see what she knows.
Well, it's dried up here, actually. Thanks very much, Martin. Remy, talk to me then. 2:42, a win. How happy are you?
Well, for the win, I'm really happy. For the lap time or for the heat time, I'm not quite happy because rain was coming short before my heat. So I lost for sure some tenths per lap. So, but I think overall I will be in the top 5 after this heat. This will be okay.
And this is such a technical track, a real traditional rallycross track. How much do you enjoy driving it?
Well, it's one of the best tracks for me. So maybe Hurriers is a bit better, but at least second position is this track.
Robin Larsson then, is he beatable?
I don't know, we will see tomorrow. Eh?
We will see indeed. Best of luck to you. Thank you.
One thing I love about René is, two things I love about René are his enormous enthusiasm. Second, the way he never plays his cards close to his chest. He always tells you exactly what he's thinking. Investigation for that first corner contact in Q1.
So we've got investigation for René Munich and Thomas Karai, and also there's now another message come up for Sondra Evgen and Thomas Brinterson as well is under investigation.
Well, those are all 4 that basically made contact in the first corner, didn't they? Now, only 4 cars comes to the grid here. Peter Hedström, who is running the car for our new boy, Christer Daumans. Mandy August in the other Seat Ibiza, run by allincool.com, Munich Motorsport. Mikko Ikonen, the Finn, in his Fiesta. And alongside him, Pontus Tiedemann in the Beetle. Tiedemann riding high, just announced that he's going back to World Rally as well for the next WRC event. No Mario Barbosa, the Portuguese, broke a camshaft in his Citroen's engine this morning, and they are rebuilding that in the hope of having him out again tomorrow. That means he lost 1 free practice and he will lose both qualifying sessions today. Here we go then, final of our first round of qualifiers. Peter Hedström on pole, Mandy August makes a good start, but Pontus Tiedemann in the Beetle around the outside. Mandy August defends herself into turn 1, but Mikko Ikonen with the Dayglow flashes around the outside, still putting pressure on the German woman. So 1 or 2 female drivers, and Mandy losing traction there in the Seat. She gets jumped as well by Peter Hedström in the yellow and blue polo. So Swedes first and third.
Hedström actually in a new car for him this weekend. He's in the 18 Anton Markland car that he used for the European Championship. They built the car over the winter of 17 and 18, and it came out with the intention of trying to retain the European Championship for Anton Markland. So Peter Hedström in a new car, trying to get extra data. He's gone for the Joker lap already, and Mandy August running really wide there. I don't know, maybe she's got a problem or something. She didn't seem to get the car turned in, and Hedström already able to get back past her.
I wonder how far she got out there, whether she just really got off the grippy tarmac and onto the loose. Hedström, as you say, despite having just jokered, also jumping Mandy August there as he came off the Joker lap. Pontus Tiedemann out front, wipers on, but he's not showboating quite as much as we saw from Robin Larsson earlier on. Larson with the fastest qualifiers so far, 2 minutes 38.5 for the heat. And Mandy August takes her joker now. So Tiedemann down front, Ikonen second. And then here comes Hedstrom. Hedstrom really flying in the VW Polo.
Tiedemann's lap times are quite a bit off the back of Robin Larson. Robin did a 37.5 and Tiedemann is now on a 38.2, so there's a bit of a gap there back to Robin. Maybe Robin was helped out, of course, with only having rain in at the last lap of his race, but we'll see when Tiedemann crosses the line, see what the lap time is this time around, and it's 38.1, so he's only taken a 10th off of his lap time previous.
Dry now at this end of the track, but it's still that big braking area down into turn 2 and traction through and out of turn 2 up the hill that is costing them so much time. That's where it was raining. Laura is confirming it is still very slippery down there. Let's take a look at Ikonen. Mikko Ikonen, the Finn in the Fiesta. He's not too far away, lost half a second to Pontus Tiedemann on the last lap, half a second the lap before. Tiedemann jokers now. And following him through, only just making it in though, was Mikko Ikonen. Almost clipped the tyre stack on the way in. Got through safely, Peter Hedstrom third. And Mandy August, that was not a convincing run from her. Mistakes cost her plenty of time. There wasn't much contact there like there was in the third of our qualifying races, where 4 of the 5 cars made contact with each other in the first corner. Pontus Tiedemann getting clear, 2 minutes 40.0, and that leaves him second fastest to Robin Larson. So that's a good run from Pontus Tiedemann. Mikko Ikonen won't be too far away, 2:43.2. Peter Hedstrom in the top 8. Peter Hedstrom 5th, Ikonen 4th, but Pontus Tiedemann second quickest.
Tiedemann off the line just got a superb drive and was able to get the car away and trouble-free, as we see Mandy August with Ikonen going around the outside, and then Hedstrom got past her as well on that same straight, so maybe just not struggling for traction, or maybe not quite got the power there that she wanted, and her running wide again here, terminal understeer, and Hedstrom able to get up her inside, having taken his joker lap already.
I think Tiedemann might have been lucky into turn 1 that Mandy August had contact from Peter Hedstrom that sort of put her offline, otherwise she'd have been inside him. That might have made a very different look to this first qualifying run, but it was a convincing demonstration nevertheless from Pontus Tiedemann, and he comes out second fastest. Let's hear from him with Laura.
Pontus, well done. A great drive there. You're second overall as well, 2:40. How can you get a bit more speed out of the car?
Yeah, for sure. It's quite good, but we can improve a bit, I think. Also with the engine mapping, we're playing a bit, and we had some small misfire now, so we'll see. It's hard, but it's fun to be here, and we'll enjoy and just do my best.
And tricky conditions with the rain coming down halfway through the morning, through qualifying 1 there. What was it like out on the track?
Some corners is very slippy, and then you have some corner that is more grip than expect, so for sure it's tricky.
Well, best of luck to you for qualifying too. Well done. Thank you.
So first of our 4 runs through qualifying, Robin Larson, the fastest man, Pontus Tiedemann second quickest, the top 2 Swedes. Rennie Munich had a great launch and a good run despite a 4-way shunt bunch at turn 1 in his qualifying run. Mikko Ikonen, Peter Hedstrom for that 4th and final qualifying run there. They have gone 4th and 5th. Sondre Efjen and Thomas Brintersen a little lower down than he might have expected. Thomas Karai down though, 8th place, might be a little higher up than he expected, and that's perhaps as an advantage of going earlier when it was dry.
Yeah, a little bit of an advantage there, but yeah, fantastic performance by him so far. And I mean, we've seen him take a qualifying win in Silverstone, so we know he does have pace when everything is running right.
And for the Dubourgs, Andrea and JB, 9th and 10th, not where they want to be. They need to find a bit of speed. We expect Pleskavas as well, the Lithuanian, to be a little further up the order. But when you've got half of it dry, half of it damp, it's going to juggle things around. That might be the format for the remaining 3 qualifying sessions, really. So if you get decent weather, you've got to capitalise.
Yeah, and of course these guys now, when they did the random draw for the grid, they have a different system to what they normally do. So this time around, their race number was drawn out randomly, and they got to choose where they were on the grid. And I'd imagine some of the guys would have gone, oh, my name's come out first, I'm going to go in the last race, but actually it's not proved to be an advantage here, so the randomizer not working in some people's favour. No, exactly. Well, that's the whole point of randomizers, isn't it? Is that it juggles the field up. Okay, so one qualifying run done. If you're Robin Larson, don't touch anything, just clean the windscreen, let's go again. But if you're further back, are you now having to look at what you're doing or what the weather's doing? It's a combination of everything, right? Yeah, so the weather, I mean, that's out of everybody's hands, isn't it? So obviously that's something that they can't control, and I just heard in my ear from Laura that it's raining again, apparently. Of course it is. And yeah, so, and I believe Laura is wanting to talk to us now. Yeah, I think so. We'll have to find her an umbrella, definitely, for the rest of the weekend, because I think you're going to need it more than we are. We've got a roof. Yeah, I know. You guys are very safe and secure there under your roof, aren't you? It's all sorts of elements out here, as you can see. I haven't got my coat on because I took it off. It's quite warm when it's not raining and the sun threatens to come out. But right now the rain is coming down once again. And this is that turn 2 where they are struggling so much to get traction here before they fly up this uphill. We're seeing all sorts down here for the flash interview. It's been a brilliant qualifying 1. Don't go anywhere. We've got qualifying 2 coming up for you just over an hour or so, and we'll see indeed if Robin Larson can hold on to that lead he's already established. He's looking mighty quick, but he has got competition here, and conditions, well, they could spring a surprise on any driver. So come join us for qualifying 2 in just over an hour or so. But from me, Dan and Martin, see you soon.